YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to Rant, dropping a fresh VID for you today. And today, I didn't think there was anything in the world that could push me to talk about the person I'm going to talk about today. Because I swore I would never acknowledge this man's presence, lest I lend to the very limited amount of credibility that he has left in his soul. But I can no longer remain silent about this infamous wrestling personality. Who am I talking about? Vince Russo. Vince Russo. Oh man. Let's start at some recent things he has said that just sets my ire ablaze. Vince Russo has credited himself with being, in his words, the architect of the Attitude Era. Really? So, because you were there, you claim to be the man who set up the Attitude Era. Surely, the Attitude Era's existence had nothing to do with competitors like ECW providing provocative and extreme wrestling TV week to week. Surely, influential groups like D-Generation X and their pushing the envelope of storylines between reality and wrestling storyline had nothing to do with the success of the Attitude Era. Surely, the most influential superstars of all time in Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock had next to nothing to do with Attitude Era success. It was all Vince Russo. My foot. Let me tell you something, Vince, and I know you're going to watch this and you're not going to like it, and you may even talk negatively about me on your next podcast. Great. Maybe that'll bring people to me. I don't know. Let me explain something. Yes, undeniable, you had a modicum of success during your time in WWE. But have you ever stopped to think about why that is, Vince? I'm going to tell you. I may just be a smart mark, but I understand certain things. I understand that you would come to Vince McMahon with 25 ideas and sling them at him every time. 24 of those ideas would be complete and utter crap, not worthy of seeing the light of a television camera. But Vince would pick that one glimmering, golden, good idea that you would have on occasion, and he would tweak it, and he would polish it, and he would set it up, and he would put it on TV, and ratings would go up. So you got a big head, didn't you? You got a big head, and you left for WCW. And you gave us such memorable instances as Judy Bagwell on a pole, Viagra on a pole, your buddy Ed Ferreira impersonating Jim Ross as Oklahoma, and making fun of the greatest announcer that has ever existed in this business. All these things happened on your watch. And the most memorable things, both you and David Arquette have held the WCW World Heavyweight title. And you would sit there and say that you did those two things to get people talking. Oh, we were talking all right, Vince. I'm going to tell you exactly what we were talking about. We were saying Vince Russo has killed the wrestling business. Vince Russo is killing this promotion. And it stayed that way until WCW closed its doors. But you weren't happy with that, were you, Vince? You moved on to TNA. And you brought your buddy Ed Ferraro with you. I have seen the early TNA episodes. He brought so much to the commentary. He said, his voice dripping with acidic sarcasm. You know why you guys think you're cool? Is because your brand of writing appeals to the lowest common denominator of human being. Those who would watch the Springer Show and believe it to be worth Emmy level writing. We all know that's not the case. And then, you were right about one thing. When TNA was on Spike, which was a huge move for them, Spike sent a consultant to watch the show. I have seen transcripts of things you have written, Vince. The spelling errors are atrocious. And your ideas were so bad that at one point a condition for TNA to remain on Spike TV was created that they would do business with TNA as long as you were not part of creative. And then what happened? You sent an email to the president of Spike TV inadvertently, ousting yourself as a member of the creative team, and that led to TNA getting off of Spike and forcing their move to Destination America and eventually to Pop TV. And then what'd you do? You went to both those networks and attempted to offer your services as a consultant under the guise that you wish to make them better. Well, that worked out well for TNA, didn't it? Because that got them kicked off of Destination America because they exercised their early exit clause, because deep down they recognized that you, sir, are poison to wrestling companies unless you are under the control of someone who actually knows what they're talking about, like Vince McMahon, because we saw how well Dixie Carter controlled you, didn't she? She lost Jim Cornette, she lost Dutch Mantell, she lost Savio Vega, she lost everyone who dared try to do things to make that company better. Now, they're on Pop TV. And while they may not be doing perfect, TNA has improved greatly over their time. And you know what their biggest obstacle is, Vince? You know what the biggest obstacle of TNA is? I'm going to tell you. The biggest obstacle TNA has is the ghost of TNA's management past, an executive past, and creative past, of which, sir, you are the biggest skeleton that has existed in TNA's closet that I have ever seen, and you deserve every ounce of ridicule, every ounce of negative press, every negative comment that has ever been said about you. Vince, if you want to help the wrestling business, there's only one thing you need to do. Do one thing and everything gets better. Tell people once and for all that you are not going to be involved or going to share your opinion on the wrestling business in any way, shape, or form. Why? I'll tell you why. There is one thing that you have done for years and years. You did it in the business when you created your cockamamie storylines. You do it now that you're out of the business when you talk about people who have negative opinions of you, be they people you worked with or just fans who you might block on Twitter because they said something bad about Vince Russo and it hurt your fragile little ego. You insult the wrestling fans by giving us storylines and matches that are too comedic in nature and not serious enough. Let me tell you why wrestling worked for a long time. Wrestling worked because two guys got in the ring, they had a built up beef with one another, and then they swapped punches to settle that dispute in a legitimate looking fashion. Yes, it's fake, but it was at least done in a way that was believable and told a story that kept you captivated. You were too busy focusing on people running around in next to nothing, in bowls of pudding, bowls of gravy, or when you were in TNA, you were too busy having the knockouts show their assets, if you will, trying to keep this PG on some level, and creating smut. You had a stable which you called Sex, SEX, which was later changed, thank goodness, to Triple X, and turned out to be one of the greatest three-men combinations that I have seen. Thank goodness someone cleaned up that idea. I know you're probably going to say it's you because you were still there, but trust me, you weren't the only one. Wrestling is a team effort, and you are not the messiah that you claim to be able to help the wrestling business. You have poisoned it beyond recognition. You have killed it because your ideas were allowed to surface and now are believed to be the norm. I'm a purist. I want wrestling to go back to the way it was in the 90s and the early 2000s. Before you had full and complete control and had to, in fact, answer to a team. That is why you have done no good for the business, Vince. That is why, for as many people who do have respect for you, and I'm not going to deny, I'm not going to say you're a terrible person. You could be a perfectly great person. It's just in the business that I love more than anything as a fan, you no longer have any place in it. Thank you guys for watching this video. What are your memories of Vince Russo? The positive, the negative. Help me understand. Is he as bad as I've made him out to be in this video? Or is there in fact some redeeming quality? Post your comments down in the section below. If you like this video, click that thumbs up. It really helps my channel. If you don't want to miss a video, click that subscribe button and you'll never miss anything associated with the Wrestling Ranter. Unless, of course, YouTube decides to be stupid again. Thank you guys for watching. Ranter off the soapbox. Catch you later. Bye-bye.